Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Thanks for joining us tonight on this very special evening. And why is it special, you ask? Well, not only is it round number 8 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech miniMite Sportscar Challenge, where some of the best LMP3 and GT4 racers, virtual LMP3 and GT4 racers, do battle, but those of us here at Apex Racing TV are pleased to bring you the season finale. I'm Greg Ginsburg, and joining me in the announce booth, as always, for tonight's 60-minute sprint is Larry Lefty McLeod, and of course we got Jonathan Grabowski. He's behind the scenes, selflessly giving us all the best views of tonight's action from the World Center of Speed, Daytona International Speedway. Originally built in 1959 and a staple of endurance racing, the Speedway's 3.5-mile, 12-turn road course offers a thrilling blend of speed and technicality, from the high-speed bank turns of the oval to the twisty infield section demanding precision and car control, especially in the traffic, which our racers are going to see a lot of this evening. It definitely presents some unique strategic challenges and should be a race worthy of champions. And so, good evening, Larry, and welcome to Daytona.
Good evening, Greg, and it is a beautiful night in Daytona. You can see just kind of a little sunset out there, but I'm excited. This is the final round, so we're going to award some champions for this season. We've had some pretty good battles so far, but they're not all decided yet. We're going to see some good racing here tonight, I'm sure. We're going to see guys like that, like Kevin Carlisle out there in his LMP3. This is going to be a good night and exciting. Always good to award champions.
Indeed, and of course we'll give you an update on the championship standings as the night and as the races go on. But we first, of course, want to let you know that our racers, they're right in the depths and the midst of qualifying just now, about halfway through their 15-minute qualifying session to set the grid for tonight's race. And as we always do, we give the drivers lone qualifying laps. They think that they've got the track all to themselves, and we give them 4 opportunities, 4 flying laps, in order to set their fastest times and set that grid for tonight. And so you can pick out our 3 different classes tonight. Of course, we've got our LMP3 racers, like Josh Vidal here in his Ligier, and you can pick out the LMP3 cars, well, because, well, they're the only prototypes, but they've got orange mirrors and they've got orange number boards on the doors and on the front of the car, and also orange end plates on their wings. And then, of course, we've got our 2 different GT4 classes. We've got GT4 Pro and GT4 AM. GT4 Pro drivers like Mike Dam right here from Orion Racing, they have the Ricmotech red number boards on the sides of their cars, along with the red windshield banners and mirrors and end plates on their wings. And then we've got our GT4 AM drivers like Slow Bros Racing, David Klimovich. David here in the Porsche, our AM drivers, they've got green number boards, mirrors, end plates on their wings, and windshield banners. And we've got the same color coding for you on the left-hand side of your screen, so you can always track where your favorite drivers lie. And so Larry, of course, here as we're coming down to the wire in the championship, one of the racers, and I'm looking to see if he's in the car right now, and indeed he is, and I think he just completed his final flying lap. Jeff Jacobs from the SCCA Foundation. He also happens to be one of the league administrators for Extreme Motorsports, our host who puts on these great Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech series. He will be our interview guest, and I'm sure we'll see him here in just a few moments, telling us about all the great things that we've seen this season, and maybe what we can look forward to across a number of different Ricmotech series that we have coming up.
That'd be good to talk to Jeff and hear what he's got to say about as we hit the finale season and get ready to start some new seasons in a couple of weeks here.
Well, and you know, almost as if on cue, Larry, and I figured if I talked long enough, he'd show up anyhow. There is Jeff Jacobs sitting in the green room, driver of the number 38 LMP3 Ligier, and let's bring him in. Let's talk to him.
All right, Jeff Jacobs joining us here pre-race. Jeff, got about 5 minutes until we go to the grid, but it's the finale. It's round 8 of 8. What's the vibe like? What's the buzz like in the grid?
Yeah, I think folks are pretty exciting. You know, we've got a few close battles, you know, out there still for some podium spots. And you know what? Even if they're not battling for a podium, so these folks have been racing now for what eight rounds long, and so they've got their own sort of in-class battles to go as well. And it doesn't matter whether they're battling for 5th, 6th, or 7th. I think they're gonna be going for it out there tonight.
Good. That's what we're hoping for. Is a lot of good, hotly contested races and exciting stuff. But as we get winding down the season here, we know that we've got tonight's, of course, the finale here. Next week will be a finale in other series. Then we'll start our new seasons. What can you tell us a little bit about what's coming up in the season? I think we've got a World Challenge coming, and then I think we've got some touring car possibly coming back.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, of course, next week will be the finale for our Ricmotech World Challenge series, and then we will start that series up again 2 weeks later on May 5th with the same cars. We're going to kick that season 13 off at Fuji, so that should be a good one. And registration's open for everyone for that series. April 28th, we're going to take a little vacation here for the miniMite Sportscar series and come back to the Ricmotech Touring Car Championship. Season 25 for that series. The TCR has already, I think it has like 12 to 13 cars registered in it, so some enthusiasm there. Everybody going to be in the Hyundai Elantra end for that one. GR86 is our other big class. We've got 10 or 11 folks already registered in that one. And then we got a handful of MX-5s. We're going to need a few more MX-5 drivers to jump in if they want to keep that class alive. Otherwise, we will have those drivers jump into one of the other 2 cars. But looking like a good field there, and that'll be something a little different. We haven't done TCR in quite a while. Yeah,
it's been a few years since we've had the TCRs out there, and they never had quite that popularity. So I'm looking forward to some big fields there. 10, 12 more TCRs. That'll be pretty exciting for us as well. So definitely looking forward to that. But while I get a chance, I got to ask you, how about your Florida Gators? Because my Western Michigan Broncos, I think we're both doing pretty good, aren't we?
Hey, absolutely, that's right. That was that was pretty exciting, and Yeah, fortunately, the best part of the basketball game wasn't until the last 5 minutes, so so I didn't miss much while taking care of those race stewarding duties early on.
I'm not here to judge your race duties, but there weren't a lot of penalties.
There weren't a lot of
last
calls at
Monday.
the end of that race.
Funny, isn't it? Yeah, you know.
But it was a good race anyway. We had a great time there, and I'm sure that the finale coming up next week.
Wish you were there,
so.
Jeff.
Absolutely, that's right.
But yeah, tonight I think this is going to be this is the last time we're going to see this combo of cars now for a number of weeks, as it's probably going to be later in the fall. Perhaps we'll bring these guys
August
back.
28th, we'll come back to the miniMite series.
Yeah, and so I think there'd be do you feel like some of these drivers are going to jump into one of the other series here, possibly jump into the TCC? Or are they going to maybe wait?
Yeah. We've seen a bunch of them. The Orion guys, I don't think I'm giving up any surprises here, have jumped into that TCR class.
Nice.
So we're going to see. We know they can run rear-wheel drive. We're going to see if they can do anything front-wheel drive. And, Eric Violet and some of those other guys, they just love that front-wheel drive TCR cars as well. So
he's pretty good in front drive. If I remember, he was. Those who maybe hadn't seen those races, Eric was dominant in those TCRs.
Absolutely.
We were running them a couple of seasons back. So bringing in the Orion team will be a pretty good matchup.
I think that's going to be exciting. So.
Yeah, that'll be great. For yourself, racing tonight, any goals that you have here tonight?
Hey, it seems like Josh and Chad and I always have some good battles out there. Kevin can usually get away, but the interesting thing with some of the traffic issues here today, we get the cold tires to start off. So if we can keep in Kevin's draft and the three of us can kind of work together a little bit, I think then we get into some traffic and you never know what might happen. So yeah, we're going to try to make Kevin earn his win here this evening.
Yeah, that'll be great. And it's Daytona. Anything can happen here for sure. So, all right, well, I think we're just about done here, but do you have anything else you wanted to quickly plug or mention here before we send you off to the
a big thank you to you all, to the Apex Racing TV team. Really appreciate Frank Rico and the team there at Ricmotech for continuing to support us. And, of course, sccafoundation.org, where anybody interested in winning a trip for two to the Singapore Grand Prix, head over there to the Foundation's webpage. You got that sweepstakes, which finishes April 30th.
That's a great prize. All right, well, thank you, Jeff, and good luck tonight. I'm sure we'll get the chance to talk to you when it's all over.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right, everybody, there you go. Jeff Jacobs, driver of the number 38 SCCA Foundation LMP3 Ligier. And, Larry, I know it's a great prize because I get an email about it every single day.
It's a big prize, yeah.
It is. Absolutely is. All right, so qualifying done. Drivers are now heading to the grid. And let's run down the starting order here. Larry, tell you what, I've been taking prototypes a lot lately. Why don't you take them, and I'll run down the touring cars for us.
All right, sounds good.
GT cars.
No surprise on the pole. He comes in with the points lead, trying to make it a championship. We'll see if he can do it. From SimCity Racing, on your poles, Kevin Carlisle. Alongside Kevin on the outside, he's currently third in the points championship. He's on the front row, Josh Vidal from HSR Phantom Racing. On row 2 on the inside from Close Enough Crew, it's Chad Sebrin. He'll be alongside our pre-race interviewee, Jeff Jacobs from SCCA Foundation. On row 3, we've got Leadpaw Racing's Marlon Jones on the inside of that row, and then Russ Ruddock on the outside, the Flying Tortoise Motorsports. And on row 4, and I'm hoping he makes a start and did not put a qualifying time in, D2D Sim Racing's own Bobby Childs.
All right, so let's now take a look at the GT cars, where we've got Mike Dam in the Orion Racing Porsche on pole. He's going to be joined on the front row by his teammate and current championship leader in GT4 Pro, Leo Dragota. Then we've got Brian Bennett from Sector 5 Racing, starting alongside Orion Racing's Travis Schwenke. Then we've got our GT4 AM championship leader, that is Zach DeLeva from Aerokinetics. He's going to start in 5th position tonight alongside Eric Violet, who is currently 2nd in the Pro Championship in the number 89 D2D Aston Martin. Chris Thorman, his D2D teammate, the number 60 machine, will start 7th tonight alongside D2D teammate David Payton starting in 8th. Then we've got, I believe, Aaron Beaver from D2D, also now with D2D Sim Racing. I keep forgetting that he moved over to D2D, and he is, I believe, our only racer for D2D not in an Aston Martin. He is going to be in one of the BMW M3 GT4s. Then we have David Klimovich from Slow Pros Racing in his Porsche, along with Dan Carrizo, then from P1 Racing. Next, we've alongside Dan Carrizo, we got Carlos Barrero from Speed Lab, and Barrero is in his McLaren. And then we've got Chuck Labano, who's going to be starting 5th in AM in the 346 Frito Sport Mercedes, who will start alongside Neil Weston in the HTPK Porsche. Then we got Andre Wedderburn from Speed Lab. Andre's in his McLaren alongside Michael Klimovich. And then we've got Greg Brockway, who's going to start alongside John Casey, his Frito Sport teammate. Then Jim Pfeiffer from Sector 5, Chris Hampton from Lead Paul Racing, and then we've got Doug Klimovich from Slow Bros Racing as our LMP3 racers. Larry, get the green flag, and they are underway. Josh Vidal getting an early lead from the outside lane over Kevin Carlisle, and as they come down into turn number 1, Carlisle's going to go to the point. Vidal's going to slot in the second. Jeff Jacobs and Chad Sebring still side by side as our GT4 racers now get the green flag as well. And it is Mike Dam with a big lurch there going into turn 1, getting a little loose. He's got Leo Dragotta, who slots in right behind. Then the Mercedes of Brian Bennett, the Sector 5 machine, along with Schwenke Zakdaleva, who's gotten around Eric Violette now. So drop Violette down to 6th. Overall in GT, still sitting in 5th. In Pro, as we've got a driver going around, and I believe that was one of the flying Klimoviches, Larry.
Yeah, looks like Michael Klimovich there in that Mercedes having trouble early in the horseshoe.
All right, let's take a look and see here as they come down into the International Horseshoe for the first time.
He may have had a little help. It looks like he's okay there, and just on cold tires.
Yeah.
At AMG, just doing some burnouts.
Yep, the rear end steps out on him, a little bit too much torque, and now he's going to run from the tail end of the field. And as you said, Larry, Bobby Childs in the 88 LMP3 Ligier not taking the green flag.
Well, hopefully Bobby's going to be in the chat and watching along tonight. Unfortunately, he's not going to be behind the wheel. But it doesn't mean we're not going to be having some exciting racing. As Josh Vidal now, about a little over a second already back from Kevin Carlisle. Kevin on cold tires is so quick and tough to keep up with on these opening laps.
Yeah, and so where they've now separated themselves from the rest of the field, we've got here Marlon Jones, it's like Russ Ruddick, and Chad Sebring all locked together in one little group as they complete their first lap.
Get everybody on these cold tires, try to work them a little bit. It looks like the other Klimovich, we got now David having an issue as we had seen Michael earlier. This time looks like going into the bus stop here in the Porsche.
Yeah, let's take a look as he comes in. Looks okay on the inside, but
a lot of sliding, and really I didn't catch which one that was. It might have gotten.
I think that was Barrero that he caught there.
Yeah, Barrero and Wedderburn were together there. Those two teammates, nowhere to go with Klimovich doing some sliding. This little front pack, though, now you got 3 Orions and the Sector 5 Bennett thrown in there. Bennett hasn't really had the best of qualifying in the last few months in either of the series he runs in, but he's been showing really good race pace. Let's see if he's got some of that here tonight, if he's got something to answer here to these Porsches and Orion.
Yeah, indeed. And, of course, I think all eyes are going to also be on Zach DeLeva, who's run so well in the AM class. This is his very first season in the miniMite Sports Car Challenge and with Extreme Motorsports here. And he's got both of the D2D teammates, Eric Violette and Chris Thorman, separating himself from D2D's Aaron Beaver. Beaver currently running 2nd in GT4 AM.
Yeah, I'm wondering if the Aston Martins that the D2D team is running just aren't quite on pace with the Porsches and the Mercedes here at the Oval, the Roval. And maybe that's part of the issue that Eric Violette's having. Obviously comes in tonight 2nd in the championship, but just down already on qualifying, just struggling to keep up with those Orion Porsches.
It's interesting because I was talking to Eric a little bit before the broadcast, and one of the things that he was saying is that D2D right now, they've got the Astons completely trimmed out on the rear wing, whereas Orion doesn't. And what's happening is Orion's getting off of the both the international and also the international horseshoe and the Western horseshoe much, much better than the Aston Martins are. And the Aston Martins really are dependent on trying to make up all of that extra ground when they finally hit the oval. And as we're seeing here, it's not really working.
And take a look also, now we've got here Dan Carrito, but Aaron Beaver in that BMW. Now, he is part of that D2D team, but he's kind of keeping up with Eric Violette, and so that's a good sign for him with the teammates in front of him. I'm starting to wonder if that BMW actually might have a little bit of an advantage over even his own teammates, Aston Martin.
Well, you know, and you could see that the two teammates, the two Astons directly ahead, which are in the pro category, Larry, they might be able to make things a little bit more challenging for Zach DeLeva and give Aaron an opportunity there maybe to fight for the win in the AMP class.
Yeah, certainly some team taxes could come into play there, but it's going to require Eric Violette to probably make the push to get up next to DeLeva to have a chance there. But that AMP battle really is going to come down to who can just get anything on the board in points tonight. We know that it's close. DeLeva's in that mix, of course. Aaron Beaver's in that mix. Chuck Labano, I think, has the points lead coming into tonight. Yes. So all three of them with a chance here. And there's some other guys as well. It may take team tactics to help pull this off for any one of those guys.
Yeah, matter of fact, I think I said earlier that DeLeva was your points leader in AM coming into the evening, and that is not right. And Larry, you're spot on as we're watching right now in that red and silver Frito Sport Mercedes. Chuck Labano is currently running fourth in AM. He is your points leader coming into the final round of the championship. He's got a 10-point advantage currently over DeLeva, and then Barrero from Speed Lab only 2 points back from there. Things are so close right now in AM.
And Barrero technically on track is right behind Chuck Labano, but he's not exactly right behind. He's about 6 seconds behind, so he's going to have to probably work the ways to get back up there to where Chuck Labano is. Let's head up to the front pack here. On board with your points leader there, Leo Dragotta, the points leader in pro, right behind his Canadian friendly teammate from the Great White North there, Mike Dam. Quite the train at this stage of the race here. Just no one really popping out to make any moves. These cars don't get the greatest draft as you would expect maybe on some of the smaller lightweight cars, even some of the aero cars. These things are pretty slipstream going through. But look at this, Dragotta, big slide there as Dam started to run wide. Bennett had to sort of change his pattern a little bit.
Yeah, as Dragotta there turned in a little bit early, got a whole bunch of curb, got on the throttle maybe a little bit too early, was able to correct it with that Porsche. But yeah, you saw where Bennett had to check up for a moment there as he, I think, had a very good view of the red number board on the side of Leo Dragotta's car.
Hey, there's those red mirrors.
Yeah.
And don't count out Schwenke in there. Travis is right there, fourth in this train, just hanging in there. But they are starting to pull away a little bit then from the pack behind him, which starts with the Graham leader, DeLeva. He's a good second back from this front group. And then that might help the D2D team there, Violet Thorman and Aaron Beaver, to try and work their way past DeLeva. Now DeLeva doesn't have anybody pulling him. This is actually a battle. Third and fourth, Neil West and Chuck Labano in the AM class, but Chuck seems to be content pushing his friendly Porsche around the track.
Just a couple German buddies.
Oh. So it looks like Weston should have been an AM, but he's got the red mirrors and number board on. He is.
We'll have a couple months to get that figured out with Jeff.
He is in the point standings in AM, so I don't think he just changed tonight.
Yeah. All right, let's jump back up to the front of the GT4 pack and look at this as Bennett makes a move underneath Leo Dragotta going into turn 2 and then heading down into the international hairpin. But as they go in, of course, Dragotta, he's got position, but I think once again, Larry, Dragotta has a little bit of a challenge getting out of the hairpin.
Yeah, he's had a little bit of trouble on some of that turn in. He saw him do it right there into turn 1. We saw him earlier, of course, at the second hairpin on the previous lap. So a bit of a struggle there, and maybe that's going to help Mike Dam a little bit, try to escape the pack. We'll have to see. as we flash over here to Violet, trying to now make that move on Deleva. Looks like he's going to make it stick going into 1, and that's what we thought. Once Deleva lost the draft in front of him, that perhaps it was going to be something. This all happened while that Bennett and Dragotta was battling going on. So we had battles on battles through that turn 1, turn 2 section.
Yeah, you know, Larry, and I thought perhaps tonight, you know, we'd see where the LMP3 racers might have some challenges as we gosh, I'm confused with every single Klimovich together here on track.
They're all there.
Looking for the photo opportunities. Usually that's after the checkered flag comes out. But, you know, I thought...
family.
Yes. I thought that, you know, the LMP3s might be presented with some trouble coming through the GT4 pack. You know, but with only 6 LMP3 racers and already with them separated by a couple seconds apiece, so with the exception, it looks like Jacobs and Sebring, who, by the way, I think are only separated by 2 points in the championship right now, with Jacobs 4th in the championship and Sebring 5th in the championship. I don't think that we're going to see much of an issue with this intra-class fighting.
Well, I tell you what we are going to see is Eric Violet has made his way past Zach Deleva and all the way to the bumper.
That didn't take long, did it?
Wow. You know, Eric, in his comments pre-race, was saying he didn't really think he had a chance tonight, but boy, did he make up ground in all of about a lap and a half to catch the back of these guys. And one of those recent laps, Wakey turned fastest lap of the race at that point. So Violet now into the 52s in his last lap, now pulls right up with this front group. Amazing work.
Yeah, you know, and again, we think that the Aston, and we ought to check and see what the what their speeds are up here on the oval. And I think from looking at them, Violet right
60.
now, he hit 159, 161. So he topped out. He topped out going into the bus stop, Larry, at about 2 miles an hour faster than the Porsches ahead of him.
I'm looking at top speed so far, 165 for Bennett, 166 for Violet, but only 162 for Dam and Dragotta. Now, Dam and Dragotta, of course, at the front of this flock of geese here, so they're taking the brunt of that air. But, yeah, the Aston and even the Mercedes are getting a little bit higher trap speeds.
Yeah. All right, as they dive down into turn 1, is anybody going to make a move? For the moment, no.
Kind of keeping an eye on Bennett there. He likes that tighter entry line.
Yeah.
Whereas you got Dragotta, looks like maybe a little bit wider line is his preferred place. And that created the first opportunity for Bennett that he wasn't able to fully capitalize on. May come back as further opportunities down the road. We'll have to see, or if Dragotta can just sort of be a little more disciplined in covering that inside.
Yeah, it's interesting that we see Bennett. He turns in a little bit later, straightens up the exit, puts the car almost along the concrete wall over by the pit exit. And, you know, as it did earlier, it definitely created some issues as we saw Dragotta trying to get the car back across track to cover him off, and couldn't really do it. It does look like those Porsches, though, Larry, they do get a good dig out of the final corner on the infield before they come back up onto the oval.
Yeah, that's a critical corner, obviously, with the longest stretch of wide open throttle there all the way down to this bus stop. But certainly always one of the more treacherous spots when you drive Daytona, because it's not really that flat right there. You're trying to get uphill into the banking, but there's a lot of dirt at that apex, and if you got a car like the way those Orion Porsches are set up, it just plants and goes, you're really going to have an advantage to be able to withstand pressure of a driver like Bennett, who's trying to find opportunities, just can't do it with the way that these Porsches launch. A little bit of daylight now starting to form, though, between Dragotta with his running mate Dam to Bennett, but that time Dragotta just tucked in, but Bennett right underneath now as they go through 1.
All right, let's take a look here, Larry. I think we had Dan Carrillo in the 320 Porsche. Looks like he comes right underneath Aaron Beaver going into turn 1.
Great line there to get that to stick. Put the car on its nose and really carve that and hold that line inside of Beaver. So great run there for Carrito.
Yeah, and of course, in the battle for the AM lead, Aaron Beaver now has Carrito sitting between he and AM leader Zach DeLeva. So we'll see here. But Beaver not able to keep the pace of his two D2D teammates, because Chris Thorman has gotten around DeLeva as well.
Well, keep your eye on Carrito. He did not have a very good qualifying. Not sure what the issue was there. Qualified about a couple spots back from the this Aaron Beaver and some of these others, but now making his way on through. He would like to catch up to that battle of Thorman up ahead, so he's still got to get around some others to get there, but looks like Carrito is definitely on a mission here after seeing green flag. Here come the LMP3s.
This is the first time we're seeing them pass through our GT4 traffic. We expect with the LMP3s running in the they're running in the low 1 minute 43 range, Larry. We expect this to be, I think, about a 36 lap race for the LMP3 racers, and only a 32 lap race. So they're only gonna cycle through maybe 4 times here tonight.
Yeah, allows for some pretty good spacing. Oh, and there's one of the competitors there. That's Josh Vidal there coming through one, having a bit of an issue. Doesn't look like he made any contact anywhere, but his tires certainly picked up some debris. As a replay here coming off of the banking into one. Just the back end. You can see he starts to lose it. Gathers it.
I mean, he did a decent job gathering it back up, but you could see there, Larry, just from the moment he turned in, and maybe it was a question of how he released the brakes, just the rear end started to twitch on him almost immediately at turn in.
Yeah, he might be in the cockpit right now adjusting his brake bias after that. And here's a little battle going on of Wedderburn, and that's contact for Wedderburn.
And that I think was Jimbo Pfeiffer gave him the chrome horn, or the polyurethane horn, as the case may be.
And then he
going
got bumped
down into
again.
turn 1.
He got bumped again as Chris Hampton went on by, just trying to avoid him and couldn't. But it does look like that incident's going to be looked at by the officials. The stewards are going to take a look at that contact there between Pfeiffer and Wedderburn.
And Larry, you also noticed that this may be a bit of a challenge for our racers as well. The simulated start time for tonight's race was 6 p.m. And I think we're already starting to see with some of our cameras where it is getting a little bit darker. But I think there may be some places on the track here. As Sector 5 Racing Bennett takes a look underneath once again on Dragotta, and Dragotta has to come to cover. A couple places on track, the drivers may be dealing with sun in the eyes. That could be a challenge for them.
Certainly, as they come through this kink and start heading towards the other horseshoe, the west end horseshoe, and then heading towards get back on. There's some blinding sun up in their eyes that they have to deal with. And hopefully for them, that doesn't last too much longer before the sun drops in behind the grandstands. But watching this with Bennett, with Dragotta and Dam in front of him, Bennett kind of poked his nose a little bit there. And I actually was wondering if perhaps Dam and Dragotta were doing a little bit of fuel saving, braking a little bit earlier than Bennett expected. A little bit of lifting coast going in. So we'll kind of keep our eyes on that. I know the draft comes into play at the end of the straightaways, but there may be some other things happening here that cause Bennett to really ride up the back of Dragotta almost unexpectedly.
All right, Larry, and we are getting word now. Jimbo Pfeiffer is being assigned a drive-through penalty for the contact that he did have with Andre Wedderburn. And I think Wedderburn now is, I think has the car on the pit lane, quite possibly.
He may have. We just saw Jimbo Pfeiffer there, as he had some LMP3s going around. One of them, of course, is Russ Ruddock right there. Chad Zierman, the other one. Those two battling it out for fourth. Look at there's the draft. You got aero cars like this. The draft certainly comes into play with these. Shot of a flying tortoise there on the side of Luddick's car. It's an angry tortoise.
He's a Maryland fan.
Maybe.
Fear the turtle.
I don't know. The Maryland turtle always seem to be a little bit nicer. It must be like, South Pole elves are the mean ones. Maybe the South Pole tortoises here are the mean ones.
Maybe.
For all you elf fans, you're welcome. No movement here in this front group, but look at that different line for Jagoda and Mike Dam through that second horseshoe. Just interesting there that Jagoda's a little bit tighter than Dam is through that. Can't really do anything with it, but it certainly creates a little bit of chaos behind everybody.
Yeah, and same thing there. Jagoda just turning in a smidge earlier than Dam or Bennett almost everywhere. And I'm wondering, Larry, although I wouldn't expect any of our GT4 drivers to really need to take any tires here tonight, but I'm wondering with Dragoda's approach to the infield whether or not he might be hurting those front tires, maybe at least a little bit more than Bennett or Dam ahead. And might be worth a couple tenths or so towards the end of the race.
Could be. He also sometimes you're more aggressive with the hands. You end up wearing those rears. You induce a little bit slides, and you might be doing that in both. But really, the two horseshoes in the infield are obviously like a hairpin, but so is the entry back onto the oval. So this track just full of those standing on its nose, swing the back end around, and plant come out. And any of that more aggressive, whether it's hands turning in on the front tires, whether it's sliding around mid-corner, all of it creates more tire wear. And we wouldn't want to see young Leo dibbed all his tires here so early in this race.
Oh, we're Dean and Rich when you need them.
I'm hoping they're coming back for the TCC in a couple of weeks.
Oh, I hope so. Yeah, I mean, you can see there where Bennett really opens up the international horseshoe considerably to the point where he almost didn't make it down to the apex, but he just rounds it off that much more, doesn't put as big a load on the car, maybe runs a little bit longer distance, but it looks smoother.
Just watching Josh Vidal trying to make his way through that pack, being patient despite being down 12 seconds to his rival Kevin Carlisle. Vidal still showing some patience here behind some of the GT4 traffic as we flash up here to Zach DeLeva now on the back of Chris Thorman. Chris in the Aston, DeLeva in the Porsche, and there's a couple of car lengths to Dan Carino behind them. So DeLeva's got an opportunity here, not under pressure, to maybe try and force Thorman into a mistake. Board with DeLeva, your AM category leader right now.
And as we've said, Larry, that in the championship here, as we're talking about point standings and where different drivers lie, specifically in GT4 AM, in GT4, points are awarded based on overall finishing position in GT4. And so DeLeva, who came into the evening, let's see here, let me pull up.
Well, you're looking at points. He's trying to use some draft to possibly make a move into one, and he may even try to use some LMP3 draft up there on the high side. I don't think he's going to get enough to do it.
No, I don't think so. But DeLeva came into the night, I think, 10 points back from Chuck Lobano in the championship, and so the more positions that DeLeva can pick up, and if he can get around Thorman, I mean, will certainly help his chances in taking home a championship in his first year here.
Yeah, Lobano is just 2 spots back in the AM. Right. He's actually 6 spots back, I think, or 5 spots back in the overall running order, which is a lot of points delta. So for DeLeva, huge opportunities. And like you say, if he can pick up that spot from Thorman, put another car between himself and his rival on points, that could really go a long way towards deciding this championship.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, speaking of Chuck Lobano, now on the other side with Weston, he's Weston behind him, but the nose of that Mercedes. Looks like it's been pushing a Porsche around just a little bit.
Yeah, it's got a bit of an underbite now, Larry.
It does.
It's kind of got a Bart Simpson look to it there for a second here. And interestingly, so some of the conversations I had with Eric Violette, and it was interesting as he was talking about the differences during practice this week, as he was kind of playing around with Leo Dragotta, the differences on the draft on the oval based on one Orion setup where they haven't trimmed out the rear wing where the Aston Martins were, and he was saying that when Leo Dragotta would try to push Eric, the Aston Martin would get a little bump and then separate from the tap, primarily because it was more trimmed out. The other way around, when the Aston was pushing the Porsche, which had a little bit more drag, they would just lock bumpers, and there was no way to separate them unless Eric actually got completely out of the throttle or got onto the brakes going down into turn one. And so we might have just seen that as the Porsche was, or as we think Lobano had been pushing the Porsche around a little bit earlier.
Well, watching this little battle continue with Thorman trying to hold off DeLeva as some of our LMP3 traffic tries to make its way on through. That looks like Marlon Jones. The lead paw entry getting on by. Well, this little battle of Thorman and DeLeva, I think, maybe allowing Dan Carrito and, more importantly, to the end battle, Aaron Beaver to close a little bit. Yeah, you should look right behind them. There you go.
Here
there's Carrito. There's Beaver. And then Beaver's teammate, David Payton, from the pro category, just back from there. So Aaron Beaver not out of this running yet in the AM category, closing up just a little bit with the help of this battle up in front. .64 miles an hour or so at the braking point there for Aaron Beaver. But we all know with the bus stop, it's all about your exit speed, not necessarily your entry speed. That's right. Got to get the weight transferred, got to turn into left, back to the right, get the weight over the back end properly, and get that long run back to start finish if you want to maybe be able to make a pass.
And meanwhile, Larry, as we were talking earlier about trap speeds, the Beaver BMW right now, I believe, is the fastest of all of the GT4 cars. At one point, I just on the previous lap, it had topped out at 173 miles an hour, and interestingly enough, that's the same speed as some of our LMP3 drivers are rounding the oval with.
Catch a little bit of draft. Get that good exit.
Exactly, and almost 10 miles an hour up on the Porsches.
Yeah. I've got a pretty good trap speed shown on my screen, but for David Klimovich, but I'm not sure that that's the goal he's going for tonight.
No, probably
after
not.
The way he's started things here. But there is David in the Porsche. About 8 seconds up on Doug. Michael is about 2 seconds in front of him.
The Klim Club's in the chat, or at least Chris said a little bit earlier that as we watched David have some of his challenges early on here in the first 2 laps or so, is David, he has to get that out of his system, and once he puts his head down, that's when he starts starts with speed, and he's got good trap speeds, but he's carrying good speed through the infield. I think the challenge for him, though, is he's seemingly almost every race weekend or every race week starting off on the back foot, and here he's got to find a way around the Mercedes of Brockway, and he's found it to be very difficult.
He's got a draft. Let's see if he tries to poke his nose in on the brakes going into the bus stop. He's a touch later on the brakes. Good car control there for David Klimovich to make that pass. Next up, Michael Klimovich. And right there, in fact, He's going to get the draft going into bus. He's going to get the family to pull him down the front straightaway.
He might have pulled out a little early, Larry, because once he pulls out, notice can't slingshot by that Mercedes.
Yeah, Mercedes is definitely, he was able to make that work. Maybe his timing was better going past Brockway in that Mercedes, but here with Michael maybe doing a little bit more of a favor to kind of let David finish the pass. Oh, a little bit late on the brakes though into one. That might give the spot back. We'll see. Michael yields. David gets the spot. Oh, 2 spots picked up in the last lap there for David Klimovich. Up to 7th in AM. We are almost at the halfway point here, coming up on the minute number 30 of this 1-hour race tonight. Round 8 of 8. Champions decided here tonight.
And you see it on the ticker there. Josh Vidal just turned in the fastest lap of the race across all of our cars. And Vidal with a 142.85, running about 0.3 of a second faster than Kevin Carlisle ahead, which would be great if Carlisle hadn't built up a 12.5-second advantage up to this point. So, unfortunately, a couple tenths here and there. Not going to be a big help for Vidal at this point, but we'll see. Of course, all of our drivers in the next couple of minutes are likely going to have to stop for fuel, probably not for tires, and that, of course, is as our good friends at Red Bull showed us this past weekend. Not always a foregone conclusion that they're going to be quick and trouble-free.
Carlisle, so quick on cold tires, really opened up that gap on Vidal from the beginning. And once they got into traffic, Vidal had to wait a couple times to get through. Carlisle so efficient. So even if Vidal is able to pull a quicker lap here and there, Carlisle is just with that now 10-second lead. It's substantial. It's going to take a little bit of help here for Vidal to try and knock Carlisle off of his spot tonight.
Yeah.
Not that we haven't seen some crazy things this season, that's for sure.
No, it's certainly not. Certainly not. Now, in the championship, and I guess probably the big surprise here, Larry, is that Tyler King from Aerokinetics isn't here this evening. Tyler is one of, besides Kevin Carlisle, I believe our only other race winner in LMP3. There's the point standings for you right now. Carlisle from SimCity with the 403 points. Tyler King from Aerokinetics with 3 wins. Carlisle with 6, and of course that's possible because we had 2 rounds this season with double races. Josh Vidal currently sitting 3rd in the championship, 18 points back from King. And then we've got Jeff Jacobs, Chad Sebring as well.
You'll have to see how Tyler King's position ends up not coming here tonight. He does have a drop, so he'll end up dropping, of course, this one. His backup is going to be a 6th place last time out at Panorama a few weeks ago. So we'll see if it'll be enough to hold off Josh Vidal, assuming Vidal can finish on the podium here tonight. But I'm disappointed a little bit to not have Tyler King in here tonight, but I'm sure we'll see him in future series.
All right, and so Larry, it appears as though it is D2D's lap to come in and pit, as we had Peyton and Beaver come down the pit lane. Had Chris Thorman come down for service as well. Looks like Greg Brockway is pitting in now as well. And we saw the pit window for the GT4 cars opening up right around lap 12. We think it should go probably to around lap 20. So they're coming in a little bit before the end of that pit window. These guys have just completed 17 laps, but they should easily be able to take on enough fuel to get to the end of the race.
Under investigation is an incident between Chris Thorman and Zach Deleva. So, see what the stewards have to say.
And that interestingly enough, Larry, when I said that all the D2D racers were in,
Yeah.
it looks like Thorman may have been on the pit lane already or may have taken the tow. Let's take a look. They come in the one.
So Thorman looks like he had the position, and the two of them just had contact. I don't know if Thorman maybe moved to the right or if DeLeva maybe moved to the left, expecting Thorman to turn in, but here's a better shot from overhead.
Well, I think that one might be pretty easy to call there, Larry. It looked like Thorman kind of straightened up the wheel a little bit, went out. I didn't see.
It'll be interesting because there's plenty of room to the right for DeLeva to go, and I understand they're both on the brakes. They're both coming in.
Yep.
The stewards are saying no further action, and I'm wondering if that's what they saw, is that both drivers maybe wanted the same real estate, but didn't really, neither one of them had to give
right
anywhere
exactly.
what they were doing, and the stewards see it the same way. Kind of unfortunate that there's contact there, and certainly for Thorman, he may have lost out a little bit. He's already done his pit stop, but
and it looks like DeLeva's been able to continue on with not really a big change in pace.
No.
So we'll see here.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on him here soon. Still waiting for the front of the field to consider their pit stops. We've had some others, as you mentioned, Aaron Beaver and some others, Thorman, of course. But that front five, Dam, Dragotta, Bennett, Schwenke, and Violet, no sign yet. It's the same here with this pack of Weston and Lobano. And now it's Weston around Lobano, so they're doing a little bit of leapfrogging every time we tend to go back to him.
Yeah, exactly. And so even though Weston is showing with the red mirrors and number boards, that is actually an AM. He is an AM driver. And so we are showing him now, Weston moving up to second in AM. That would be, I think, 8th in GT4 altogether now with Lobano behind. So Weston second in AM, Lobano now third in AM as Lobano drafts right up to the back of the Porsche.
And you see why the front, you see the front of that Mercedes looks like it does, because Lobano's been doing that all night.
All night long.
Bump drafting GT4s.
All right, Mike Dam and Eric Violet pit in, Larry, for service. So that will move teammate Leo Dragotta back up to the lead with Brian Bennett in second, Schwenke in third.
That's interesting there, that the front of the five and the back of that front five are the two coming in at the same time.
Yeah.
We'll have to see how they end up with then the middle three, Dragotta, Bennett, and Schwenke staying out. So we'll see where Dam and Violet come out together. But there you can see, of course, Dan Carrito. There's Neil Weston, half of the Weston and his battery mate, Chuck Lobano. Lobano looks like he stayed out. Battery, the key word there.
As in assault and battery, and not someone stole my battery.
These are not hybrids. No batteries in these cars except the one that starts the car. And again, it's sim racing. We're all on batteries. All right, so Dragotta now leading this. Look at this. He's got a full second over his teammate there, or over his teammate Schwenke with Brian Bennett between them. But second between them and not a car between them may help a little bit here for Dragotta to get a clean getaway from the bus stop. I suspect one of these three, if not all of them, are going to be coming in here on this time.
As they're working lap 20 right now, Larry, and they said that should be right about the far edge of that pit window for the GT4 cars.
Mr. Dragotta might be making a liar out of me. And he is. He's going to keep going around.
He's going to do at least another.
But
Brian Bennett does come down the pit lane, and Travis Schwenke follows him in.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe Dragotta was able to save enough fuel drafting off the back of Mike Dam as Zach DeLeva brings his Porsche down the pit lane as well.
Yeah, one thing I do want to point out is the gap. You can see there on the tower, the timing tower there. Mike Dam 4 seconds ahead of Eric Violet. That is a pretty significant amount considering that they were in a train that was probably only 3 seconds between them when they came off the track down pit lane. And now the difference is Eric Violet doesn't have anybody to draft behind. He's got a couple Klimoviches there, perhaps, but no one else to really help him get up there. Brian Bennett is going to come out in front of Travis Schwenke.
Yeah, and Larry, interestingly, I think accounting for some of it, Violet was on his pit lane transit time was almost 3 full seconds longer than Mike Dam.
Look at this, though. Look at Bennett. Look at Dam. Bennett is ahead going into the horseshoe here after pit stop. So Bennett does the move. The overcut did work.
Indeed. So move Bennett up to second, drop Mike Dam back to third. Leo Dragotta, who is yet to pit, now is your leader. He's got about 44 seconds on Bennett and Dam.
And there he is getting a little bit of draft off of Aklinovich, entering the straight onto the oval in the banking. At some point, he's got to come in. We've seen the rest of that front five do it. In fact, Leo might be the only car of the GT4s that hasn't stopped yet.
As I'm looking through the field layer, I believe he is the only GT4 racer yet to pit. And so now he'll come down the pit lane. So Larry, let's track young Leo here on his pit stop, and we'll see where he comes up, and then perhaps we will take a quick break.
Keep an eye on this. A good solid lap before the end lap, so that'll help his case. Didn't seem to have too much for traffic. Keeping an eye on that Bennett, Dam, and Schwenke. They're the train we're looking for. Probably on the oval, probably near start finish.
That's exactly where they are. They're coming around the bend right now. And the starter stand in their sights.
And Leo Dragotta's rolling. He might be pulling this off. I think he's going to have it, as Bennett's not even into the braking zone yet. Leo Dragotta is going to lead this race.
And it's by a couple seconds there, Larry. He now pulls out, and he's got almost 2.5 seconds on Bennett and Dam here as he rejoins.
I think it's that in lap. I think because his pit time really is no different than anybody else's. Nothing significant. No. I think it's the in lap. I think he hit a couple of really clean laps. We saw him open the gap over Bennett before Bennett pit. Already was about a second and a half when they were nose to tail before Mike Dam peeled away. Dragotta just nailed those couple laps before the stop and built this lead, and here he is.
Yeah, I mean, he picked up about a half second on Bennett just by pitting in a lap later, just because of the shorter fuel fill. That's great. But I think probably the biggest surprise there was Bennett's ability to leapfrog Mike Dam, as our leader Kevin Carlisle is pitting in, and I think that leaves only Jeff Jacobs as our sole LMP3 racer to pit. And so, Larry, let's do this. Let's take a quick break. Thanks some of our partners, and when we come back, we'll take you all the way to the checkered flag here at the Season 8 finale of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech miniMite Sports Car Challenge. We'll be right back.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The SCCA Foundation is a 501c3 organization serving as the charitable arm of the Sports Car Club of America. One of the programs partially funded by the foundation is the SCCA Academy, an online learning management system used to keep real-life racing track officials up to date on the highest standards of race safety and officiating. Through this program, the SCCA Foundation is supporting the future of the best trained corner workers and event officials in motorsport. You can support these efforts at www.sccafoundation.org.
The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
Welcome back to the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech miniMite Sports Car Challenge here on Apex Racing TV. It's the Season 8 finale at Daytona International Speedway. I'm Kurt Ginsburg along with Larry Lefty McLeod. And Larry, with all of our racers having completed their pit cycles and working through the field, we've got Kevin Carlisle, your leader in LMP3, with Josh Vidal second, Jeff Jacobs running in third. In GT4 Pro, Leo Dragotta, your leader, with Brian Bennett second, Mike Dam third. And in GT4 AM, Zach DeLeva, who's running sixth overall in GT4 right now. He's your AM leader, with Aaron Beaver second, Chuck Labano in third.
I wonder if Dragotta just had speed in reserve. He didn't get this thing onto the pole, but he just sat behind Mike Dam for the first half of this race, maybe saving a little bit of fuel, which is why his fuel stop was so much faster than Dam's, just a little bit faster than Bennett's. And you see that pace coming out now. Dragotta is pulling away a little bit, 10th or so a lap over Bennett and Dam. You see Jeff Jacobs there in his LMP3 trying to get on past those GT4 cars. There he goes.
Yeah, Larry, so everything that I said about Leo Dragotta eating up tires early on in this race may not be an issue.
He was keeping them warm for his burst of speed post pit stop, and that's all he's done is just lay in quick lap one after another. 52.7 last time by. Who knows what he's on pace for here, but again, now he has no draft. He's just all by himself.
Yeah, and interesting to see this, Larry, although he is one of the fastest drivers out on track currently. Almost everybody else has got the benefit of the draft somewhere, some way around Daytona at the moment, and I'm seeing lots of drivers go green and setting their own personal best lap times. And the racers right up at the front, like Dam, Dragotta, and Bennett, not doing that, although is Mike Dam going to try to go right around the outside of the Mercedes, the Sector 5 machine of Bennett coming into turn one. We may see a new fast lap for him, but good defensive maneuver there.
Yeah, it doesn't make it stick. Had to go the wide line there. Bennett able to hold the inside. What may be helping some of these lap times is temperatures are starting to drop. It should be down now below 70 degrees. Air temps here in Daytona, and that starts to cool the track a little bit here as the evening rolls on.
And this is Dan Carrillo in his Porsche 718 Cayman GT4 RS, looking to find a way around Zach DeLeva's Aerokinetics machine.
Yeah, worth noting in all of this is you got Zach DeLeva, of course, leading this twosome. Carrillo in the pro category, DeLeva leading your overall for AM, but just a couple of cars back now. Chuck Labano, second place in the AM category, only has now 2 cars between he and Zach DeLeva, which just tells me when it comes to points, it's getting closer with the number of cars that aren't between. Remember, at one point we had about 6 cars between DeLeva and Labano. Now it's just 2.
Yeah, now it's just Carrillo and Peyton. Although, Aaron Beaver, who's another one of our AM drivers, he could complicate things. We've seen how very quick that BMW, and I think the sole BMW in the field here this evening, how quick it has been once it gets off of the infield and onto the oval.
Yeah, the other name in the mix here, of course, is Carlos Barrero in that McLaren. He's back in that 5th spot, so not really a contender for the win in this one. Came into tonight in 3rd in points, but he's going to really have to get some work done here in the last 12 minutes if he wants anything. But look at this. Speaking of work, Mike Dam now going to try and go the long way around again on Bennett. Bennett, beautiful on the brakes, all the way on that inside, protecting.
Yeah, he's able to keep the car tight on entry, Larry, and then when he needs to, let the car drift out just a little bit right into the path of Mike Dam to essentially hold off any opportunity for an over-under there as we go back to this battle between Zach DeLeva and Dan Carrillo. And Carrillo tries to make the move going down in the turn one. A good defensive maneuver from DeLeva going out of one through two and then into the International Horseshoe.
If Carrillo can make this pass, it's going to make things even tighter in that AM Classic. Because again, this won't change the class standings here tonight, but it'll certainly take points away from DeLeva, who's trying to leapfrog past Labano in the points. And there is Labano just ahead of Aaron Beaver, who's trying to do the same thing there, leapfrog past Labano to make something out of this. This is how this championship's going to be decided. It's going to be who can finish second and who can maybe put an extra car between themselves and their competitor in this final round. And that's David Payton just ahead of Labano. Another car that in the standings resides between Zach DeLeva and Chuck Labano. 11 minutes to go, nothing decided yet.
And it's Groundhog Day, Larry. Here comes Mike Dam again, around the outside, around the outside, as you say often.
He's trying for it. Let's see if Bennett can again use the brakes and that car control. Dam might be further ahead than he had been. So tough. He's going to back off early.
He's going to back off. And there we see Bennett maybe starting to see the rear tires of Bennett maybe starting to complain a little bit about having to constantly defend into turn one, as Aaron Beaver now tucks up right behind the Mercedes of Labano, and maybe this is Beaver's attempt to beautify the nose of that BMW.
Mm-hmm.
But it was interesting there, Larry, watching Bennett and Dam go down in the turn one again, and it looked as though Dam had perhaps given himself enough clearance, and before they got into the braking zone, going into turn one, and as soon as Dam moved away from Bennett and moved up towards the wall to set up for turn one, you saw him start to fall back as if he was doing lifting and coasting, going into one. It was a very, very odd maneuver here. So let's see what happens when they come into the bus stop.
Oh, much better exit there for Dam than for Bennett. This actually might be the best chance he's had. We haven't been on board this early in the lap to see how he's done it before, but I can tell you. But is Dam going to stay behind a little longer and maybe try to pop out later? I can't imagine he's got a fuel issue. He actually had one of the longer pit stops of the front pack. So Dam shouldn't have the fuel issues. If anything, Bennett might be the one with the fuel issue, or Dragotta up in front. Again, though, he's backing off.
Yeah, that time he doesn't pop out at all, and he backs off going into the corner.
What if he's saving tires and waiting just a little bit later, maybe when some traffic or something else comes along before trying to really make a move?
Well, where I'm wondering if that the previous lap was very much the trial balloon. He saw how much he could pull ahead and just decided perhaps better to sit back rather than engage, again, lap after lap in a battle.
He's got a teammate, Travis Schwenke, right behind him.
Yeah.
What if Schwenke and Dam both get a good run out of one of these
together
corners?
and push ahead?
Yes, if either a push draft or a physical bump draft. We saw, of course, Labano doing that earlier with Neil Weston. Let's see if these two Orion Porsches can hook together and maybe help push past Bennett.
Well, I think part of it's going to rely on Schwenke being a lot closer to Dam as they come off of the infield.
Yeah, Schwenke's turn-in speed isn't quite as high, so he's losing into the apex over what Dam and Bennett are doing in front of him. He's using the draft to stay close, but he's not quite at the entry speed to then give him that clean exit. Dam so good through the bus stop with that car, so efficient in that weight transfer. Is this the one? Is this where he continues his momentum, maybe?
Yeah, he's taking a look.
Bennett not giving him anywhere across that yellow stripe. He's going to lock in his left tire on the stripe. Good view here. Not giving anything to the Orion driver behind. Mike's got to be thinking, come on, Travis. Maybe even on the chat. Come on, Travis. Let's go. Get up here and help me.
You know, interestingly enough, Larry, as we're watching this, and as you were saying that maybe the drivers who might have to concern themselves with fuel loads were Brian Bennett and Leo Dragota. Bennett, Dam, and Schwenke have been making up ground on Dragota the last couple of laps. That last time by, they knocked about a half second off the margin up to the leader, and we can see there on the curbing that, you know, Dragota continues to have, I think, challenges that he's not as clean through the two horseshoes as the drivers behind him.
Well, if you're low on fuel, you got to make sure you're clean. You don't want to be any extra bobbling or anything. You got to get good, strong exits to maximize your speed, and then potentially coast and lift on the other end. But yeah, it's gone from nearly 3 seconds down to under 2 seconds. Dragota's we had that graphic up there, was a 52.8, 4 straight laps, and suddenly in the 53s on his last time around. And I'm wondering if he's doing that again here. Either he missed an exit somewhere, or he is, in fact, doing a little bit of fuel save here to try and make it to this next 5 minutes, as we just struck 55 out of 60. A couple more tenths there for Bennett.
As we jump back now to Dan Carrido and Zach DeLeva, and DeLeva having some connectivity issues there.
Yeah. You're losing his packets there going into the bus up. That's got to be a little spooky if you are Dan Carrido and suddenly your drafting partner disappears for a moment.
Disappears or starts hopping through the air like a jackrabbit.
Carrido trying to use a little bit of the draft in the LMP3, but they're just too fast. Kansas Center's going right. Aerokinetics is going to stay left. Pretty equal matchup otherwise. Little side drafting going on here. Who's better on the brakes? Carrido with a good job early in the brakes, but DeLeva makes it up.
And Larry, the gap to our leader, Dragota, drops again.
Look at those lap times. He's falling off a little bit. 2 straight laps.
Yeah, that time over a half a second.
Yeah, because Bennett and Dam behind him are 52.2 and 52.5 the last time, or sorry, 52.6, 52.6, 52.5 for Schwenke compared to the 53.2 for Dragota. So, yeah, these guys are coming. We're going to have maybe a third lap to go. We'll see if it's just 2 laps, depending on where our leader Carlisle is, and he's just now.
Speaking of our leader Carlisle.
So Carlisle, by the time he comes around, is probably going to end up running 2 more laps, which is probably not what Dragota would want if he's the one low on fuel.
And we've seen this before, Larry, where some of our GT4 drivers get caught out by having to run an extra lap here. And of course, there's so much flat out racing here as Mike Dam takes a look again at the back of the Bennett car. We'll see if he pops out.
I think we saw that at Mount Panorama 2 weeks ago, even.
Yes.
Where it came down to fuel loads. And maybe that's what Mike Dam is doing here. Maybe he has insider info and knows that Bennett may also be low on fuel potentially, and making him run out of fuel basically by pushing him from behind instead of getting in front and giving Bennett a chance to draft. There's all kinds of strategies that could be coming out here. Dragota responds on that lap with a 52.6, so he's not giving up yet.
He's not giving up yet, but he's I don't want to say he's getting balked, but he's definitely being controlled a little bit by the Slow Bros racing machine there, as that's Doug Klimovich, who runs wide going through the S going into the Western Horseshoe, and then runs off to allow our second and third place drivers through. And Larry, look at how Bennett came through the Western Horseshoe, rear end of that car, really stepping out. He may have possibly just at the wrong time. And again, I think a lot of this is how he's defending against Dam going into turn 1. Really hurt the rear tires that he may be hanging on by a thread here.
There could be some of that. At the same time, though, you had Klimovich trying to stay out of the way, but almost in an unpredictable manner. He was off on the edge of the grass there, and Bennett may have just flinched, seeing, wait a second, where's this other Mercedes going to go? Could be something to do with that. Right now, looks like Bennett's right of the ship. He's got this down to 1.2 seconds behind Dragotta going into the bus stop. Damn, again, beautiful mid-corner and exit. Bennett much better this time, but Schwenke maybe getting closer to giving a push draft.
Closer. Meanwhile, Dam almost every single time makes up maybe 2 car lengths just on the exit of the bus stop, where we can see here is able to draft right up to the back of the Mercedes as Kevin Carlisle is coming to the start-finish line, and with only about 70 seconds remaining, he's going to start his final lap here at Daytona.
All right, well, his final lap, we'll see where he is relative to that lead pack. He might actually pass the lead pack. They're about
I think they're just,
are
they just, yeah, I was going to say, I thought I just saw the Beaver car directly
This could
ahead.
be, because there's Carlisle in the background. This could be the last lap for all of these guys if they get passed by the overall leader, Carlisle. So if you're Bennett, if you're Dan, it's now or never. And if you're Dragotta, you're thinking, come on, Carlisle, get up here and save me 1 extra lap.
And of course, Carlisle, he's got 11 seconds to burn if he wanted to sit back and watch this, but I don't think...
He will not be making friends with Orion.
Yeah, make that 10 seconds now, because Vidal's not waiting.
Let's just see. Where does Carlisle go? He should go high, go by this crowd. He's going to. I think that...
yeah, is that Sebring ahead of him, or is that Marlon Jones? Yeah, Marlon Jones just ahead. This may really complicate things as Bennett slots in right between them.
Look at this. These 2 LMPs are in between these GT4s. Who's going to get a run? Bennett might have gotten a run there. And he is only a half a second behind Dragotta and closing. Dam's closing on Bennett. Schwenke's closing on all 3.
I don't know if he's going to be close enough.
It's going to be photo finish. Look at this. Between these 2, well, we know Carlisle's got this, but it's what's going on behind them. It's Dragotta, Bennett, Dam.
And as they come around the final bend, Larry, of course, Carlisle's going to take the win in LMP3. Dragotta will take the win. Margin of victory at the end, 16/100ths of a second over Brian Bennett. Mike Dam will finish in 3rd. Travis Schwenke finishes just off the podium in 4th.
But
and Eric Violette will finish 5th.
That's Carino getting around DeLeva, taking away points from DeLeva. And
at the end,
Carino did it.
So DeLeva will take the win in AM, but you're right, at the line there as Dan Carino gets around, and that's gonna have Chuck Labano not only finishing 2nd in AM, Larry, but Labano's gonna finish directly behind DeLeva on track. And as they came into tonight's final race, Labano had a 10-point advantage over DeLeva. And I think with that last moment move by Carrillo at the line, I think that might have secured the AM championship for Chuck Labano.
You had 2 things happen at the same time there. Not only did Carrillo get around DeLeva, Labano got around Peyton on the last straightaway. So there's a double move. And here's the Carrillo replay of DeLeva getting this draft. Porsche on Porsche. DeLeva trying to hold the inside. A little bit of wobbly there. Carrillo with a beautiful pop time there to get to the stripe first. But behind them was Labano doing the same thing. And here it is. Labano there in the Mercedes trying to get around the Aston, the D2D Aston of Peyton. Pops out there at the last second and motors by to pick up another spot. Wow, let's see how these points work out.
And to put it into perspective, Larry, Carrillo beat DeLeva to the line by 3/100ths of a second, and Labano beat Peyton to the line by 12/100ths of a second.
And Bennett is out of fuel, getting a push from Eric Violette. And I wonder where young Dragotta is.
He might be at Sebring
There
by
he
now.
is.
There he is.
All right.
All right, so there you go. It's Carlisle, Vidal, Jacobs, Dragotta, Bennett, Dam, DeLeva, Labano, Beaver. Your top 3 in each class. Larry, let's do this. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk to some of our podium finishers, some of our race winners here tonight at Daytona International Speedway, where you've just seen the Season 8 finale of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech miniMite Sports Car Challenge. We'll be right back.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The SCCA Foundation is a 501c3 organization serving as the charitable arm of the Sportscar Club of America. One of the programs partially funded by the foundation is the SCCA Academy, an online learning management system used to keep real-life racing track officials up to date on the highest standards of race safety and officiating. Through this program, the SCCA Foundation is supporting the future of the best-trained corner workers and event officials in motorsport. You can support these efforts at www.sccafoundation.org.
The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
Welcome back to Daytona International Speedway, where we've just seen the Season 8 finale of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech miniMite Sports Car Challenge here on Apex Racing TV. Let's run down that finishing order once again, as we had Kevin Carlisle from SimCity Racing take the overall win, the win in LMP3 in his Ligier over Josh Vidal and Jeff Jacobs, finishing third tonight in GT4 Pro. And although it just shows how many laps down from the LMP3s, I think the bigger story would be the margin of victory there. Leo Dragotta from Orion takes the win tonight in GT4 Pro, with Brian Bennett finishing just thousands of seconds back, and Mike Dam finishing in third. And then finally in GT4 AM, Zach DeLeva from Aerokinetics taking the win, Chuck Labano finishing second, then Aaron Beaver finishing in third. But some of the last moment lunges to the line, Larry, may have really impacted at least one of our championships here tonight.
It just may have, and I'm looking at some updated points. We'll get to those as drivers get their way into our green room, and we'll talk about all this excitement, especially there in the last couple laps.
Indeed. All right, so we have sitting in the green room right now. Let's bring in our overall winner tonight, and I think also wrapping up the LMP3 championship here this evening from SimCity Racing. It is the driver of the number 72 Ligier, Kevin Carlisle.
All right, Kevin Carlisle, awesome win here tonight, but our points are updated. Not a real surprise. You are the season champion in LMP3. Congratulations. How you feeling about how tonight went and wrapping up the season?
Oh man, that felt great. I was glad to finally get it over with. I think I'm done with this car for a while.
It was a
At
great
least
start
until
to
August
the race.
28th, right?
Yeah, exactly. At least for a couple months. But a great start to the race on the cold tires. You really stretched out that lead on Josh. Is that really the plan, was just to get that gap and then figure it out as the race went on?
Yeah, I really want to just break draft, and then from there just ease my way out, not pushing over the line any. And once I saw I had a decent gap, I started fuel saving a bunch, and then he like closed the gap like in half. So I was like, well, after the pit stop, I'll just lengthen it back out. So I just started pushing again.
Yeah, it just seemed like almost with ease tonight, the way that you did that on cold tires, the way you were able to get in and out of there, and even on the last lap, like you're just trying to stay away from that GT4 battle, but you know, it's tough to kind of, I don't know that those GT4 cars realized the last lap was going to happen until suddenly you went by them there, but made it for exciting for us.
Yeah, I didn't want to impede that, but it was timed terrible to where I just split right in the middle and through the bus stop. So I hate that. I couldn't just hang back, but I could have just stopped on the track, but I didn't want to give up that much time. So I just let them go. The car is really, really tricky on like you said, on cold tires, brakes, everything. Like, and then as about the middle of the stints, it smoothened out a bunch. But then towards the end, it's just the front start chattering, the rear starts locking up a lot, and the car was just very unbalanced, not the way I wanted it to handle. But I just dealt with it and got it done.
Well, it definitely got it done is a good way to put it. Coming out of here with lots of wins this season. I lost count how many times you won pretty much everything this year. Running away with this championship. Obviously, we all had
7
goals
wins, Larry. 7
Was it
wins.
7 was the final count?
Man, those few that I lost, though, Tyler, he put on a show. That dude showed great pace all season long. I hate that he wasn't here for this last one, but congrats to him on the P2 and everybody else, because he has really, really good pace, and the dude's fast. He definitely put it on me a couple times. Yeah,
it's definitely put on a really good show, but throughout the whole season, just wins at every point, it seemed. For you, a great job. I know when you set goals at the beginning of the season, you always want to win championships, but actually delivering on that's got to be a little extra satisfying.
Oh yeah, definitely. I wanted to win every race, but Tyler spoiled that for me.
Well, next time you guys are heads up, I'm sure we're looking forward to you. Are you ready for? You going to join either the World Challenge or the TCC next season?
Not next season. I'm gonna focus on a little bit of stuff with the team for team events, and then probably the season after that, I might be stepping into GTP. We'll see how it goes.
All right, well, looking forward to that. But tonight you get to celebrate, pop a little bubbly, whatever you want to do. You've earned it. A win here plus the championship of the season. I'm sure though you've got some friends, family, and others you want to give a shout out to.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm going to Waffle House here in a minute. Special thanks to everybody at SCR. They help out a lot with all the support. Special thanks to you guys putting on a good show all season, and everybody watching. Thanks to our sponsors, Abruzzi, Jordan, Monster, Oakley, VRS, and Grid.
Well, congrats. Thanks to everybody that supports the series and makes this all happen, from teams and drivers and all that. It's great to have you guys on board. But congrats to you and that team for walking away as champions here tonight. LMP3, Kevin Carlisle, and SimCity Racing. Congrats.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Larry, let's go and switch gears and move over to GT4. And we're going to bring in our race winner and GT4 Season 8, GT4 Pro Season 8 champion, driving for Orion Racing, the number 118 Porsche Cayman, Leo Dragota.
All right. Well, that race came down to a little Dragota drama there at the end, and Leo, unbelievable finish, but it got that way, I think, because of your pit stop and your laps just before the pit got you that lead, put you in that position. What was that like? Was that once you got the clear track, were you just laying down to hopefully make that stop?
It worked out perfectly for me. I mean, I saved enough. Well, actually, I didn't save enough when I was behind Mike. I was maybe like half a liter that I should have saved, and I didn't. But Mike and all of them pitted really early, and I got really lucky with some traffic that I pitted earlier, and I was able to draft them for like 2 laps, and it put me in like a 3-second lead, which is really nice because I still had some saving to do after I was done pitting.
Yeah, we noticed at the end your lead started coming down. Was that a little bit of fuel save and trying to manage that gap and hope that it didn't turn into an extra lap of the race?
Yeah, I was keeping an eye on the LMP3 leader. And I had to save just in case. I didn't save enough, so I was kind of hoping that the LMP3 leader came around, and he did. So really lucky tonight overall.
That was pretty exciting. The three of you guys essentially nose to tail at the finish, pretty much how the whole night's how a lot of races go here in Daytona. No different. But race win now in hand. Championship also clinched here tonight. You've won a few things here and there. What does this one mean to you, considering the depth of the competition that you're facing every single week?
Yeah, it was really tough to see. I mean, Eric, Bennett, all my teammates. And then just kind of, I said in the beginning round when I won that one, I'm going to go for all the wins. I'm going to try really hard this season after last season. Because in that Bimmer, we were struggling, and it was so hard every weekend. And this season just makes up for that season a lot.
Yeah, you always seem to like the Porsches, and this season no different there as well. Great setups, great racing, great strategy, great execution, from pit stops to fuel strategies and everything. Just seem to really be working on all cylinders here for you. So awesome job there. I assume you'll be joining us in the next seasons coming up. Obviously, one more round of World Challenge, but you're going to be joining into the TCC the week after that.
Yep, TCR with the boys, and then going back to the Porsche for RWC next season. So
nice.
Excited for that.
All right, well, that we're looking forward to. But tonight you get to celebrate. Open up a juice box or whatever it is. I'll make a young joke if I have to. Greg's gonna laugh. I have to do it. But you can celebrate here with the win tonight. And we'll get you a little bit of something. But you get to celebrate here tonight. But I'm sure you got family and friends and teammates you probably want to give a thank to.
Yeah, Orion, Huffy, family, Lucas, you guys for the broadcast, everybody at the league. That's pretty much it.
All right, well, congrats, Leo Jagoda, your Orion Race Team champion of the series and winner here tonight. Congrats, Leo.
Thank you.
All right, Larry, let's move over now to GT4 AMP, and we're going to bring in two different drivers. We're going to keep them separated, though, just in case, so nothing untoward happens. We're going to bring in our GT4 AM winner from this evening here at Daytona International Speedway, driver of the number 33 Aerokinetics Porsche. It's Zach DeLeva.
All right, join here with Zach DeLeva, your winner here tonight in the GT4 AM. And Zach, what a great race. You had tons of battles, it seemed, all the way right up even to the stripe with all the other all the pro drivers. Well, from your perspective, that had to be a pretty exciting run to get this win here.
Yeah, I kind of told Dan to just hold off for 10 laps while we were kind of just bump drafting around Daytona. My car was useless in the draft for whatever reason, and Dan had all the pole there, so kind of figured he'd get me at the last lap. Maybe I should have tried some cheesy stuff, backed off in like 3 or something, and try to reverse draft him, but didn't end up doing it. Just wanted to finish out the race.
Yeah, well, it still got the win in class. It did look like a lot of fun there, whether it was with Dan or some of the other drivers. And you've had great pace all season long, but as the race was winding down, were you kind of keeping your eye and looking over your shoulder at where Chuck was and see how many points maybe he'd be getting versus what you could claim?
Yeah, I mean, I paid attention to it at the start. Honestly, the last couple of races for me have been pretty... It's a mixture of bad luck and a really bad setup at Mount Panorama. So, things that happen, and it can sway a championship, obviously. We probably finished, maybe 8 or 7 points apart, depending on, the bonus points that come out. But
I think it's going to be 10 in the end.
Yeah, I kept an eye on it, but, he drove really consistently all season, and sometimes consistency seals the deal for you, so...
Yeah, well, it's certainly a good season for you as well. Second in the championship. You had a number of wins. You started out the season with a win. You're going to wind up the season here with another win. All in all, a really good run for you and the Aerokinetics team. We're going to see you again in the next series coming up starting in a few weeks.
Yeah, I don't know yet if I'm going to go, World Challenge or join the boys in the TCR and have some front-wheel drive fun there. So undetermined, but probably leaning towards some GT3.
Oh, that's always a good thing. And, some would say, why not both? But I'll let you manage your time on that one. But awesome job here tonight. But I'm sure you got some folks you want to thank for helping you get the win here.
Yeah, always thanks Dan at Aerokinetics for supplying really good setups to make me faster than I am. Shout out to Tyler for raising money at a charity land and racing with me over the weekend at Gamers for Giving out in Ypsilanti at Eastern Michigan University. And yeah, it was a pleasure this season. A lot of close racing, and it won't be the last time you see me.
All right. Well, I'll let you mention Eastern, even though I'm a Bronco, but we'll let that go. I can handle that. All right. Well, awesome job here tonight. Zach Galeva getting the win for Aerokinetics. Congrats.
Bye, guys.
All right, thanks so much, Zach. All right, so Larry, let's now move over to our GT4 AM Season 8 champion, driving the number 346 Frito Sport Mercedes AMG GT4, Chuck Labano.
All right, Chuck Labano, and I can't do math. I know we all know Greg can't do math, but we did see were some things at the end that may have affected. What we saw was Zach lose a spot, you gain a spot, and in the end, it works out. You are the season champion here in the series in GT4 AM. Congrats! How you feeling about that?
Yeah, that's freaking awesome, man. I can't believe how that worked out. I'm starting to like Daytona here.
Yeah,
it was
that looked
hard work.
Ton of fun. I tell you, you and Weston for a while doing bump drafting like you're a couple of Miatas out there. Even a little bit of war wound on the front of the car there. But
yeah, I hit him pretty good a couple times. Really trying to get back into that draft, man. But once you lose it, it's so tough.
Yeah, it just looked like you were kind of playing some strategy there, maybe working the two cars as faster than one sort of move. Is that was the plan?
Absolutely. Yeah. I wasn't going to pass him. The only time I passed him is when he made a mistake. And then he did the same thing. He basically just moved out of the way. We knew what we were doing. We were working together. There's really nothing to do until after the pit stop. So it was nice hanging around with him. And then whatever happened to Mr. Beaver there, he ended up with us. And it worked out. This is my last chance to talk to you. I'll never get to talk to you guys again because I'll be pro. And unless I beat all the Orions,
you never know.
You never know.
This is it.
Well, then make sure we find a way to get you in, of course. It's always a joy to talk to you. But this was a fun race to watch. Every time we panned over to you, either you or Neil were doing push drafting around, or you were battling then at the end, of course, with David Payton and that team. Were you looking at that last lap and realizing the potential to maximize points and try to work towards the championship? Did you know the implications of how the last lap went?
I knew it was close. I didn't know how many positions I had to be within. And to be fair, I didn't see him on my relative for most of the race. So when Aaron dropped back, it showed me that Zach was there. And then I don't know what happened with David. He's usually pretty quick. I can never catch him. But yeah, once I got into his draft, I started getting hungry.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to pass him now, but I'm going to do, I'll push, but on the last lap, I got to go for the outside move. And it worked out. How much did I win it by?
The championship's going to be 10 points between you guys at the end.
Damn, that's close. That's really close, man.
It was. There was you got a couple of bonus points, I think, in this race, plus, and he got the 2-point advantage, which is on finishing standings. But coming into that last lap, you actually made up 2 positions because he also gave up a position on the last straightaway while you were passing
by
David
3
Payton.
100ths of a second.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know the whole time. The whole time I was just wondering, is it another season where I'm stuck in amateur? We'll try it again, but no, we got her done. And you know what? I'm okay not talking to you guys for a little while. We'll see in about 4 or 5 seasons when I'm up there with them.
We'll check in every once in a while, make sure you're doing okay.
Comes first. Yeah.
We'll check in and we'll do a pre-race with you or something. I'm sure.
And I'll cause like a big wreck so I can get some TV time there.
Perfect. Well, somebody's got to take Bobby's shoes.
Yeah, exactly. I'm out of ice cream though.
Well,
I'll have to go to the store. I'll grab some.
Yeah. You got to celebrate. Little cherry on top for the championship here in GT4 AM. But I know you've got teammates, you got friends and family you probably want to give a mention to.
Oh yeah, my wife has been the best pit crew and supporter of what I'm doing here. My team has been great, especially Greg. Whenever I complain about the setup, he'll fix it up real nice for me. Probably at the expense of his own race. But he does the laps, he puts in the time, and he gives us a really good setup. And of course, Tom, who does the paint for the whole team, he does a great job, and he's getting better every week. You guys do a good job. Was it Ricmotech? I don't know all the sponsors. I'm not used to being here.
It's your last chance to say them all.
Yeah. Look at my car. They're all there. Yeah, you guys do a great job. I really enjoy, even when I'm not racing, I watch the races all the time. So it's been a good season. I can't wait for the TCC.
That'll be exciting too. And in the chat, Zach Mosley giving you the big old congrats there as well.
Zach.
So.
He's the man. He's such a great guy, man. It's a shame he didn't do well. Well, maybe we'll see him next season. We'll fight a little more with him. That'll
be great. But looking forward to seeing you in another season. It's a joy. But tonight you get to claim a championship and celebrate this one. You and the Frito Sport boys, Frito Sport Racing's Chuck Labano getting the championship. Congrats.
Thanks, guys.
All right, everybody, there you go. Our Season 8 GT4 AM champion, Chuck Labano. All right, so Larry, as we wrap up a season of the miniMite Sports Car Challenge, let's take a look at what we've got coming up here, not only next week, but in the next couple months here. Of course, the miniMite Sports Car Challenge, going to give it some time off. We'll be back for season number 9, August 28th. But before then, we have next Monday night to look forward to, Monday night, April 21st. It is the Season 12 finale of the Ricmotech World Challenge. We're going to be at the National Park of Speed, Road America, for a 75-minute race. And then in 2 weeks, April 28th, it is the return of the Ricmotech Touring Car Championship, the TCC. It is season number 25. And we're going to have the Elantra N TCR car. We're going to have the GR86 Cup car. And if you have a hankering for the MX-5 Cup car, come on, register, sign on up. You can be on track, be on these broadcasts. Registration is open now for any one of the 3 chassis. If you go to xmsracing.com/series/TCC. And of course, the World Challenge returns for season 13 in 3 weeks. That's Monday night, May 5th. As Jeff Jacobs told us earlier, going to be starting, opening up the season at Fuji. And registration is open for the World Challenge as well, as if you'd like to join and race either GTP, LMP2, or GT3. Head on over to xmsracing.com/series/RWC. So for Larry Lefty McLeod, for Jonathan Grabowski, I'm Greg Ginsberg. I want to thank you so much for joining us here for season number 8 of the Ricmotech miniMite Sports Car Challenge, and we'll see you next Monday night from the National Park of Speed. Have a great week, everybody.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com. Ricmotech, high-performance